What started as anger over a social media ban turned into the most violent uprising Nepal has seen in decades. Generation Z protesters toppled a government, burned down parliament, and are now deciding who should lead their country, all through Discord voice chats. This is the story of how Nepal's youth revolution unfolded, and why it might change everything. The social media ban. On September 4, 2025, Nepal's government made a decision that would ultimately cost them power. They banned 26 major social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, WhatsApp, and even LinkedIn. The official reason? These platforms hadn't registered under new ministry rules for a digital services tax. But here's the truth behind the ban. It came right as a viral trend called Nepo Kids was exploding across social media. Young Nepalis were posting videos and images showcasing the extravagant lifestyles of politicians' children. We're talking luxury cars, designer brands, foreign vacations, and expensive meals. All funded while the average Nepali earns just $1,400 per year, and 25% of the population lives in poverty. One viral video showed a minister's son posing next to luxury items arranged like a Christmas tree. Another featured a former judge's son dining at upscale restaurants and posing with a Mercedes. The contrast was stark and infuriating. The hashtags politicians Nepo Baby Nepal, Nepo Kids, and #ApoBabies were gaining millions of views on TikTok. One post alone got over 1.3 million views. The government saw this as a threat and pulled the plug on social media, but they had no idea what they'd just unleashed. But why this hit so hard? To understand why Gen Z exploded in anger, you need to know Nepal's harsh reality. 33% of Nepal's GDP comes from remittances, money sent home by Nepalis working abroad. Youth unemployment sits at over 20%. The median age is just 25, meaning Gen Z makes up a huge portion of the population. Many young people earn money through social media platforms for their small businesses. The ban wasn't just censorship, it was attacking their livelihoods and their voice. September 8th, the peaceful beginning. On September 8th, thousands of young protesters, many still in school uniforms, gathered at Maitikar Mandala and near Parliament in Kathmandu. The protest was organized by Hami Nepal, an NGO that had previously worked on earthquake relief. The demonstration started peacefully. Protesters carried signs reading, "Enough is enough," and "Corruption must end." They were using the One Piece manga's Jolly Roger flag, the same symbol that had appeared in Indonesian protests. But then someone threw a rock at a CCTV camera. That single act changed everything. Security forces responded with overwhelming force. Tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, and then live ammunition. By evening, 19 people were dead and 347 injured. But the government's brutal response had the opposite effect they intended. Here's where the story gets really interesting. These weren't your typical protests. Gen Z was coordinating through Discord servers, the same platform gamers use for voice chat. The main server, run by groups like Hami Nepal and Youth Against Corruption, grew to over 130,000 members in just days. But inside these Discord channels, things got dark fast. The messages included were, "I want a machine gun, let's gather and throw Molotov at the Home Minister and Prime Minister. Life of a netta for every dead body. Kill the fake leadership." The protesters were literally using Discord as their command and control center, coordinating everything from logistics to, unfortunately, calls for violence. By the evening of September 8th, facing international condemnation and growing violence, the government lifted the social media ban. Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak resigned. But it was too late. The protests were no longer about social media. They were about overthrowing the entire system. September 9th, the day everything exploded. The next day, September 9th, angry over the deadly crackdown, protesters went beyond demonstrations. They set fire to the Parliament building, the Supreme Court, Prime Minister's residence, multiple government buildings, and many politicians' homes across the country. The violence was unprecedented. Ravi Lakshmi Chitrakar, wife of former PM Jalanath Kanal, died from burn injuries when their home was attacked. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and his cabinet were forced to resign and flee. Some politicians had to be evacuated by helicopter. But the death toll kept climbing. By September 9th, 22 dead, over 300 injured. By September 11th, 51 people killed, over 1,300 injured. An Indian tourist, Rajesh Gola, died jumping from a burning hotel. Over 14,000 prisoners escaped from jails nationwide. On September 10th, with the government collapsed and the country in chaos, the Nepal army deployed troops nationwide. They imposed curfews in major cities and took control of security. But here's the unprecedented part. Instead of just crushing the protests, the army began negotiating with the GenZ protesters about who should lead an interim government. The virtual parliament. With parliament literally burned down, Nepal's political discussions moved to Discord. Over 145,000 people joined virtual chat rooms to debate the nation's future. As one protester put it, the Parliament of Nepal right now is Discord. These weren't just text chats. They included voice and video discussions that were so significant they were broadcast live on national television. This democracy had serious flaws. Anyone could join, including people from outside Nepal. The India Today OSINT team proved foreign interference by successfully casting multiple votes without Nepali credentials. Trolls and bad actors infiltrated the discussions. The open nature led to chaos and conflicting voices. Initially, the Discord community backed Sushila Karki, Nepal's first female chief justice and respected anti-corruption figure. But then they changed to Kulman Gising, an electrical engineer famous for solving Nepal's power crisis. The back and forth showed both the power and the problems of crowdsourced governance. Intelligence reports suggest potential foreign involvement in escalating the protests. The fact that non-Nepalis could vote in Discord polls raised serious questions about outside manipulation of Nepal's political crisis. As of September 12, 2025, Nepal remains under military control. Curfews continue in major cities. The army is patrolling streets. Shops are opening in limited hours, 6 to 11 a.m., 5 to 7 p.m. Thousands of escaped prisoners are still at large. The airport has reopened, but transport remains limited. Right now, high-level negotiations continue between President Ramchandra Paudel, Army Chief Ashok Raj Sigdal, GenZ protest representatives, and constitutional experts. Sushila Karki appears to be the front-runner for interim PM, but constitutional restrictions complicate appointing a former Chief Justice to political office. This isn't happening in isolation. Nepal joins other Asian countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia, where GenZ has toppled governments. Social media-organized youth movements are becoming a major force across Asia. Nepal's GenZ revolution represents something entirely new in modern politics. It is a digitally native generation using gaming platforms for political organization. A place where youth successfully overthrowing a government through online coordination. And the first time Discord has been used as a national parliament. But it also reveals the vulnerabilities of digital democracy, foreign interference, mob rule, and the challenge of turning protest energy into stable governance. But there are several questions ahead. Can a Discord-organized movement actually govern? Will Nepal's young population accept traditional political leadership again? How do you prevent foreign manipulation of digital democratic processes? And can this model spread to other countries facing similar youth frustration? But here's the final truth. What happened in Nepal isn't just about social media bans or corruption. It's about a generation that grew up online, demanding to reshape politics on their own terms. Whether this leads to genuine democratic reform or further instability remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The age of digital revolution has arrived. And traditional governments around the world should be paying very close attention to what happened on the streets of Kathmandu. Hit the like and subscribe for more deep dives into global political upheavals.